Let's BIM together Revit tip number 3, multi-address project, the complex version. So in my previous video, I showed you how to use Dynamo to have more than one address in the same Revit file. Here we're going to take it a step further, and we're going to have different elements of the model change with different addresses. Okay, so it builds off my previous video, the Revit tip number 2. Strongly recommend you watch it to fully understand this. You can find the link to it in the YouTube description. Okay, so let's start off with the download zip file, which you will also find the link to in the YouTube description. You're going to have the Dynamo file. I have the graph just for fun, it's nice to see. So here it is. If you saw the previous video, you're going to see that this is part of that previous script that let us change the addresses in the same Revit file. All of this is what made it complex and allowed us to have various building elements changed too. As you see, there's quite a bit more gymnastics that had to be done, but it works really nice. It basically goes through the entire model and hides whatever is not part of that address and unhides what needs to be shown. And then we have our parameter setup, and again, in the previous video I showed you how to set it up. And these are the prefixes. The Dynamo script basically goes through the model and looks for groups that are supposed to be part of that site address. And it hides it and shows it based on the prefix in the name. So let me show you how it works. Let's go here. Here's our Revit file. So again, I want to have 3 different roofs. I want to have 3 different roofs, and I want to have 3 different topographies. So let's start with the roof. I'm going to take it, Control-C to copy. Now we're going to paste it to the same place. We're going to do that twice to have a total of 3 roofs stacked on top of each other. Let's take our first roof. Now we're going to need to make this a group. You can click this button here. I like to use the shortcut GP. And we need to have our prefix set up. So MS1 is for this first multi-site ID. And we're going to call this roof. Enter. Now tab select to select the other roof. There it is. We're going to give it some overhangs here. So slight, reasonable overhangs. Again, type GP. And this is going to be site ID number 2. And then roof. Now let's get our third guy. And this one here, let's see if I can see it. I believe it's still in the group. So tab, tab, tab. There we go. I can see my handles. It's a little frustrating when you have a lot. Now this one I'm going to have preposterous overhangs. Let's get this guy here. And again, GP 3 and call that a roof. There we go. Now just for now, I'm going to hide these because I can't really see much of this ridiculous roof. So let's do the same thing, but for our site. So we're going to select our site. Control copy, paste to the same place twice, and we're going to select our first site. We're going to click GP, or topography, excuse me, and we're going to call it topo. Now let's select the second guy. We're going to edit this one actually, and let's make it on a steep hill. So we'll say negative 100. Click. Okay. Same exact thing. Oh, I actually edited the first. This is actually a group, so let's select the other one here. We'll call that GP again. This is going to be our second topo. So let's call it topo. And last but not least, our last topography. Now where? It gets a little harder to select the last one, so we're going to hide this guy here. This is also a group, so we're going to hide that one. And here's our topo. Now this one I'm going to put on a huge hill. So I'm going to say negative 500. Click, 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 and click. Let's do one more. There we go. Here's our topo, and something happened that I did not expect. Let's start a new phase. Let's try from this view. There we go. Look at that beautiful hill. Okay. So then you click OK. Select it. GP. MS3. And call it Topo. Now just to make sure I didn't make any mistakes, because this took a few recordings, I'm going to go in the project browser. I'm going to see this. Okay, MS1, MS1 Topo, MS2, looking good. Okay, so let's see this in action. Now again, this makes changes to the model and the site address. So to be able to see it, I'm going to show you both of them at the same time. So let's do that guy here. Here's the address. Here's our building. And let's fire up the Dynamo player. Any moment now. Here's our Dynamo player. Here's our script. So I'm going to put this here so you can see the address and the building. Let's go to project information. Again, we are in site ID 1. Let's switch our toggle to number 2. And let's rock and roll. We're going to hit that play button. And here we have it. 300 Ocean Avenue. And here's our original building. We have slight overhangs here. We have our flat site. So let's do site address number 2. Or 3, excuse me. We skipped 1, a mistake. So let's do that guy. So 3. Click this button. And look at that. We have our ridiculous overhang and we have our huge hill. And last but not least, let's go back and select number 1. So click that down to 1. Run it one last time. And here we have it. As you see, we had 3 different addresses and we had 3 different buildings and different sites. There you have it, and it's all in the same Revit project. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next Revit tip.